now?
It's fine. Do what you're doing.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're in the pre-show section. So.
Okay, I'll be back.
Mhm.
This little guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
So this was
vaguely
very limited.
familiar with the series.
Mm-hmm. So it was, what was it, like 3-4 years ago? They came up with a new movie which started a new series. So this was the new form of Goku. He goes through different shades and forms and hair colors. This one was like the hype because it was the return of Goku with a new hair color. But this guy, you cannot find it in regular stores. Not sure even. I think. Yeah, I have no clue. It was an exclusive of some sort. And I found out that they had it on eBay. I bought it, and yeah, this has been the most expensive so far. But now you can find this guy for more than $100 on eBay.
Yeah. This is why I wouldn't want to get into it, because I know I would be obsessive about it.
Yeah, we're just a little obsessed about them. Hey, Gary.
Hello.
We swapped Damon for Gary. Damon's Wi-Fi went out. So.
Yeah, which is odd.
Nope.
Gary, I like your beard. But it looks nice.
I'm laughing at Gary's face, not at your comment.
Did you like?
That's called a
it?
pickup line. Yeah, I like your beard.
I was waiting for the next part where he was going to say he wanted to do something to it. So
I've always wanted to be. Never mind.
yeah, okay.
Oh, I should probably put a thing in. Oh. Rude.
What?
Forgot to put in Cisco lines.
Did
On
I?
the document.
Yeah.
Oh, oops.
I'm adding them now. Don't. It's fine. Everything's fine here. How are you?
Yeah,
Sorry.
but you know what? He's at the bottom of the contact info.
Well, he's at least in there.
I just didn't remember to put him in for the other parts.
I should say nothing until the end.
Well, come on, Damon. You said you were back. Oh,
Maybe not.
oh, he popped up. Or it said a thing.
There he is.
There he is.
Yep. Every time.
Every time what?
Well, just everyone. So I've been on Time Warner or Spectrum or whatever for a while. And every once in a while, this happens. For no reason whatsoever. Literally, it just all craps out. And it's 5-10 minutes, 15 minutes sometimes, and then it's back. Again, no explanation. It just happens.
So have you complained to them about like the outage stuff?
No, but I'm going to keep internet, but I'm getting rid of cable, and phone, the home phone that we never ever use. Yet we somehow get calls, but whatever. Anyway, but yeah, there's a. I am we've been talking about it for a while, and I'm going to just eventually do it. I was planning on waiting until the end of the month, but it might happen sooner. So, hi, everybody. And let me finish what I was doing, and then you all sucks. You all sucks. I can wait. Hi. So I saw that the live thing went out. I take it we are live, right?
Yes.
We just haven't started the show officially.
Right.
Got it.
We're still in considered pre-show mode.
Sweet.
Dot 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 dot. Yay!
Wow,
Nothing's
you're loving
happening.
it, aren't you?
Nope, not at all. But that's okay. So
Okay. That's done. Now move you. No, not do that. Okay, we're not done, but done enough. Hi. Okay. Shit. There you are. And you. All right.
yeah, I realized earlier today. Actually, I've thought about it 3 or 4 times and never did anything about it. I was like, oh, we should probably tell the entourage that we're not going to be on at our usual time. Whoops.
Oh well.
I did about 5:24 p.m. Central Standard Time. There's a daylight time. I forget which one. What are we
It's
in?
standard. We're in standard. Daylight time ended in November.
Daylight, summer, standards, winter. Because
Oh my god.
I only have 2 seasons.
Really?
That's nice.
Well, same for Minnesota, except it's different.
Sure.
It's slightly different.
Well, yeah.
Here it's
Basi-
summer and road construction. Minnesota, it's winter and road construction.
All right. Well,
So we're like the same but opposite. It's weird.
Okay.
okie dokie.
When
Okie
was the
dokie.
last time? 419. Okay, so I need to go over here and go searching for that. Come on.
Oh, what's
Scroll
it mean?
down.
That's a lot of invites.
Down, 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 down. Copy. Paste. In a moment. Cisco, is that email address from before still valid for this episode?
Yeah, still good.
No.
Technically, I'm not even sure why we need to change that anytime. Because
Change what?
The email?
the contact info, because we don't publish that anyways.
Oh, for some reason I was thinking that you copy pasted that to the doc or to the website, but
I pretty much stop at download podcast.
Right.
The contact information part is just kind of like
it's verbal.
my script.
Got it. Makes sense to me. All right. That being said, I think I am prepared. And da, da, da.
Cisco, did you hear last week's show?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I'm not caught up on a lot of my podcasts.
Well, we're not going to hold it against you, so
Thank you.
So I'm gonna share this with you. Previously on Cubs Out Loud.
Guitar solo. Adventures of Tim. LOLs.
Who puts fish in tacos? You don't put fish in tacos.
That we were both and more desperately into cock than she was, even, I think.
I had enough alcohol to loosen myself up.
Oh, there's so much more work we need to do with you.
Grand Marnier in Cosmopolitans. Nelly, pound gay popper sex to pound gay amputee.
Hill Dog, aka Hillary, versus Barack Obama.
A president can be male or female.
Yes, people. They actually put a cheeseburger in a can.
To admit, no, I would not eat it in a can. I would not eat it in a boat. I would not eat it with a goat. I do not like it, Sam I am. I will not eat a cheeseburger in a can.
That's cute.
That was
Cute.
That was the previously on Cubs Out Loud from and that was just clips from episode number 2 of the show. And we're at 450.
This will be episode 451.
Wow.
if I'm getting this
It's
right,
450.
Jeff, if I'm getting it right, in that clip, you have a very young sounding voice.
Dude, that was 10 years old. Years ago.
No, but I was listening and I was like, "Oh, that sounds like Jeff, but it sounds higher pitched." So, which makes
It was
sense
10
because
years ago. I was
I
was in my
listen to
20s.
Terry Gross on NPR all the time,
Mhm.
and when they do old like shows, like if a person has passed away and she's interviewed them in the past, sometimes they go and they play either the whole interview or parts of it, and you listen to younger Terry Gross, and I'm like, "Wow, she sounds like really young." Like, but she's been doing that show for a very long time, so. It was one of the things I was like, pretty sure I can pick out which one's Jeff's voice, but he sounds young.
Okay.
Can you all hear the train?
No.
Yes.
No.
So
right, Dan.
Damon could hear the train and none of us could? Maybe it was your crinkling.
No.
Like we
Maybe
heard
it wasn't the
hearing
train.
crinkling through the thing, and you heard a train because you didn't hear the crinkling through your headphones.
Maybe that's it. Sure.
I'm sure there's something around there.
Cisco, are you using AirPods?
Maybe.
Gee,
Do you like
I wonder-
them?
He's one of the few people who have actually received their AirPods.
Actually, I went to the Apple store. They had them there. We snatched a couple, and that was it.
Nice.
There's
was
a
back
high
in,
likelihood that.
July, I think.
Okay, maybe not a likelihood that I ship those.
But I think, well, I think Austin has a big store, right?
Maybe? I don't know.
Okay.
I think they
Because
might be
I think
two.
for like the big stores, they should have something in stock at the store.
Well, I make sure to dip them below safety stock and bop them so that they actually ship from our retail replenishment hubs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but so far so good. Battery lasts for a very long time. I'm pretty impressed with that. Sound quality is good. I'm not sure if the microphone quality is good. That would be for you guys to let me know.
Well, you sound fine.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
So the microphone is
sometimes I
coming
have-
through the AirPods?
Yes.
Oh.
Mhm.
Even better.
Yeah. So usually I have. So when I'm at the office, I connect them to my computer, And sometimes I have connectivity issues, but I think that's because it's trying to connect to my phone instead of the computer.
Yeah, I have that kind of issue. Although, for some reason, my wireless headphones, which are like a $15 pair of wireless headphones, they will like be connected to my phone. I'll turn on my computer and they'll connect to my computer.
Oh.
And they'll be connected to both. But then when I'm trying to play something, I think through my phone, while they're connected to both, it gets kind of weird sounding. So I'm like, oh no, stop! Turn off the Bluetooth on my phone. Just stick with my computer, or maybe it's vice versa. I don't remember which one has the issues when I'm dual connected. And again, they're $15 pairs of headphones.
Pretty good, yeah.
They're on ears, but I really like them, and they're cheap, so they're good. I like that. Hey. I know Gary's ready. I'm assuming Cisco's ready already. You don't really have
as ready as I can be.
All you need to do is sit there, look pretty, and sound smart.
I can do that.
You're not going to tell them about the pop quiz?
No.
You know what? I think I forgot to write that one. We need to get somebody onto the pop quiz ready. Sign that to somebody else. I don't want to take care of that. I'm assuming Chester, Damon, you're both ready?
Yep, unless I fall asleep before then, because I'm about ready to.
Oh, that's one of the reasons why I got coffee myself. And I think I saw a thumbs up from Damon, so let's get this on. Where's my thing?
Yes. I'm ready.
Yes, you were on mute. For those of you playing at home with your version 3.0 bingo card, there's a square for you.
Wait a minute, there's a 3.0 bingo card?
Well, there should be, because I know Chess made one, but I'm pretty sure it didn't have a square on it that Damon's mic was muted, so.
Yeah. All right.
It should be center square, maybe.
I'm pretty sure that could just read as anybody's mic is muted, and we're still talking. Because I know I do it. Or sometimes I think I do it, and then I sneeze.
And here's another square. Right? It's not easy to get, but Chester walks away from the camera in just his underwear. So,
which nobody can see right now because I haven't started the show.
Because I've walked away.
But he'll be back.
We could take them off, but then we wouldn't be YouTube legal.
Yes.
Well, we're not broadcasting yet, so.
Was that a hint? Hint?
Wow.
Seen it. It's all over Tumblr. Why? Who's smoking a bong?
Thirsty.
Nobody was smoking a bong. How do you know what a bong sounds like? I mean,
I knew what
it was.
Something you want to tell us?
Anyways.
Anywho,
where were we?
We should probably start.
Let's do this.
I'm friends with Pup Barrett.
I gotta start the show in 3, 2. It's January 21st, 2018. I'm Jeff and I lost my soundboard. There we go.
Who's your bear? That's right. I am your bear.
I'm Damon.
I am Chester.
This room is a pigsty, and you're a dirty pig boy.
And that makes me Gary.
Don't hurt nobody with your bad self.
And welcome to Comes Out Loud, the Bear Podcast of Interterminal Length, episode number 450. And it's, for some reason, getting weird here. And we have a guest. We have Cisco back on the show. Yay!
Hello! Hi, Cubs.
We've got some scientific studies, which it's one of the reasons why we bring you on the show. Although, you can come in any time. Not just because you're a smart guy. So
He's a smart guy.
I'm a doctor.
Yes, that's right.
He's a doctor.
We'll
Since
get
the
to
last
that in just a
time.
moment.
Anyways, we need to get to that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going out of order here. Cisco, what have you been up to?
Oh, I'm going first? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna
a doctor.
Yay!
Yeah, finally, my degree got conferred in August of last year.
Yay!
So,
okay.
do you officially get 3 letters that come after your name now?
Yes, PhD.
Pretty huge.
And the crowd approves.
Perfect.
Okay. I can't control the crowd. It's like in the middle of the file, and they have waves of hooray! So it's anyways, it's beside the point.
Well, yay. What else has been going on with you, Doctor?
Yeah, so so if you remember, I was in Albuquerque finishing my internship, and so that was done. I also got a postdoctoral position at UT Health Science Center here in Memphis, and I came back here. I reunited with my husband. So that was pretty nice after a year of being apart. Being together again was great. Well, it's been great. Yeah, so I'm back in Memphis. I'm doing research, pretty interesting research. I'm pretty excited to be with a team that I'm with. I'm doing several things. I'm managing 2 major projects. Both of them are related to opioid medication, so painkillers. Probably you've heard in the news and everywhere that there's an epidemic. There's a lot of things that we don't know, and we would like to start knowing some of those things. Yeah. So my mentor, my boss right now in the postdoctoral program, she is like the brains of the team. So she has very good vision of what needs to be done. So I'm the guy who executes the doing. And we're doing, again, 2 major projects. One of them is identifying biological changes and movement changes in people who are using opioids. So we partner with the dental school, where we have a lot of the residents there prescribing pain medication for people who are having surgeries of many types. And so we track participants who are eligible for that study, and they have like a smartwatch, but it's rudimentary. It just has one button, and we're keeping track of their several biological features, and we're seeing if there's any differences, if we can detect when people are taking painkillers. And we also have a genetic component to it. So we have a geneticist in the team, and she's going to look at differences before taking the pain medication and after the pain medication to see if anything genetic changes. So far we have around 20 participants. So we have a very long way to go. The other project is to try to see if we can prevent misuse of pain medication. So we're providing people at the same dental school a brief intervention, some education on how to use their pain medication, when to switch to pain medication that's not has no potential for abuse, like ibuprofen or acetaminophen. And we are seeing if that is helping people switch and not abuse their medication. It's a very small pilot program, but we're hoping to make an impact there, and then make that into a bigger project that's going to have some funding and better methodology and better ways of helping people not to start abusing pain medication.
Yeah, as someone who works in workers' compensation and has to deal with injuries, that has been one of our bigger concerns, is injured workers getting addicted to painkillers that they've been prescribed to handle their injuries. And then we had, at least for a while, we had a program to help with that, but we've learned that that program was adding adding other issues that weren't really related to the work comp claim, a lot of psychiatric issues, and it was affecting what we were doing and what we could do. So we've toned down on it, but we're still but it's still, I know one of our nurse case managers, it was one of her pet projects, is to kind of figure out what to do to eliminate some of that. So cool. That sounds like a really great idea, and I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
My ex is a emergency room physician and a medical toxicologist, and it was almost a daily occurrence where he would come home complaining about what do they call them? Frequent flyers. The people that would come into the ER on a regular basis seeking
just to
opiates.
get some pain medication.
Yep. And it's a vicious cycle, because once you get hooked on it, it's really hard to get off of it. And we have many discussions about it.
Yeah, as much as we would like to do something for interventions, the projects we have right now are more for prevention, so that people don't start and we can prevent things from happening. Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, intervention once you're hooked to opioids could be very difficult in long term.
Nice.
So
Jeff, what's going on with you?
One, I found out that I had a snow day on Tuesday where I didn't go into work because the campus was closed. And you know my job, being a contractor, I don't get paid if I don't work. Oh. So the holiday I didn't get paid for, Tuesday I would not get paid for. Until I found out yesterday I can log hours for that day.
Oh.
So yay! I get to get paid for a day I didn't work at. It was none of my fault. I was ready to work. I would have been there. But I couldn't be there. And they're still paying me. They're still saying, "Hey, just log 8 hours. You're fine. You're fine."
Wow,
sweet.
Good.
So instead of 4 days over the past 3 weeks of not getting paid because of holidays, it's only 3. So
sweet.
It's a plus side to my wallet, at least. So hopefully it won't be too much of a financial issue or anything. What did I have here? Oh, and also because of last week, for some reason I just had this bout of just like nostalgia about the show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, about the 10 years we played I played that teaser from episode 3 of episode 2 last week. So I went back and was listening to some of the past episodes and such, and especially if you watch our Facebook page, I even linked back to the original episode, and I'm like, hey, check out our first episode. Like, look back to 2008 when we launched our first episode. It was the COL pilot, so it wasn't actually a numbered show, called Testing 1 2 3. It was pretty bad. It was bad. But, new shows. It was just the beginning of things, and now here we are, much, much better.
Yes.
Not to say that because I have different co-hosts from that time, it's better. It's just in general better. So, better equipment, better process, etc. You have more of a structure. What?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Look, maybe if we had the same co-host, we would still it'd be fine. Have you guys listened to that show? Huh?
No.
You can't say a word. But I dare people. I really kind of want people to listen to that episode and just like spill the tea. Say whatever you want about it, good or bad, and be like, "Oh my god, that was so awful." Laugh at it, whatever. I think you might find it as humorous, and based off the teaser, it gets kind of goofy. So, also the temperatures have been going wild here in Austin. One day it's freezing, like 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And just today, it was like almost 70.
Wow.
So here I am. One day I'm in a winter jacket, and the next day, maybe a sweatshirt if I even need that. But also today I fried some empanadas that I got at the supermercado, because I don't have any food and I've been too lazy to run to the store. I am never frying empanadas again. I'm not frying anything again, because I put the first frozen empanada into the frying pan and
yep.
Needless to say, there's oil everywhere.
Yep, because it's frozen. Because it hits the hot oil and all the water. Just
the box of the frozen empanadas that I got didn't have any instructions besides frying in there. So later on I did a quick Google search, and there were some instructions saying, "Hey, just like put it in a 400-degree oven for 30 minutes." Unfortunately, it was because I was hungry because I hadn't eaten all day.
Oh well.
So it's a little bit away. So right now, I am currently in a t-shirt and boxers, and that's it.
Sweet.
Anyways, Damon. Oh, hold on.
I know.
You get ready.
You'll get that. Yes.
Go ahead.
So just so everyone, I didn't sing the holiday concert, but I am back this year. As of this month in the Cincinnati Men's Chorus. There we go. We are preparing for our Heartthrobs concert, which is a concert of people that you fawned over or were interested in, whether it be in music that really, touched your heart. So it's a kind of a combination of that sort of thing. But a lot of it has to do with like really popular musicians that people really liked. For example, one of the songs that we're singing is ABC, the Jackson 5. So just to kind of give you an example of a song that was really popular that people really liked. And anyway, so it's going to be fun. It's going to be an interesting show. Yes, Gary, you have a question?
Are you going to do Bad Romance by Lady Gaga?
Hold on. We're doing something. No, we're not doing Bad Romance, but we are doing Express Yourself / Born This Way, because they're basically the same song.
I don't have my fan with me.
We're mashing them up because it's the same anyway. So that's the idea. So we're still in the process. We only started rehearsals a couple of weeks ago, but the concert will be in April. I think. God, I hope so. Yes, the first weekend in April. So it's good to be back. It's always been busy, and I'm back to being the busy that I missed, kind of, but didn't because of I now have something on Wednesday nights that I have to do. So that's pretty much what I've been doing.
Sorry. You just said Bad Romance, a whole bunch of men singing Bad Romance, and I thought of the ever adorable On the Rocks. Some really cute members in their video for Bad Romance. And plus, it's them singing was amazing too. So, but they've got at least two bearish guys in there that are hot, and are two of the lead singers.
Yes.
So.
Anyway, Chester, how are you?
I started my new full-time job last week.
Yeah,
It sucks. I hate it.
Sorry.
Hey, you know what? Motherfucking yay. So now you're going to switch tracks from complaining that you don't have a job to complaining that you have a job. So.
Hang on. Because I wasn't done with the first part of it.
Okay, keep going.
The actual job isn't difficult. It's fairly quite easy to do. That part of it I don't mind. But the last 2 days I realized that I'm either working way too fucking hard or all of my coworkers are lazy as fuck.
I think it might be a little column A, a little column B. Just to be perfect,
we have a certain quota that we're supposed to be doing for work, and I am greatly exceeding that quota. And I'm not exactly moving fast. I move like a sloth because I'm fat and out of shape and whatever.
Anywho.
But when my boss tells me, yeah, your production should be about 3 an hour, and I'm doing 4.5, and then I look at my coworkers and I'm like, I've just done circles around these people. So
you're going to be employee of the month in no time.
Probably.
Or management. Ooh.
There you go.
I thought about that. It probably wouldn't take me much.
Ooh.
Damn.
Yeah, it's.
Well,
I'm just
okay,
there until something better comes along. That's all.
Yeah. So just don't. That's what I would say. Don't. I don't want to say don't worry about it. If it's like you said, it's probably more a matter of work ethic and getting stuff done, and you're good at getting stuff done and getting it.
Yeah.
And
I have an extremely high work ethic. My standards for work ethic are incredibly high. And I've worked in management before, so I can tell when there are problems with employees and how it affects the company overall. And I'm in an entry-level position, and I want to walk into my manager's office, and I'm like, you want production to go up? This is what you need to do. And, give him a list. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? I just started there, and it's not my responsibility. So, fuck you, people. As long as I get a paycheck, that's all I care about.
That's the way to go.
So, right, you are at that. Oh, that's right. I'm not being paid as a consultant to tell you what you need to improve. So you kind of put the brakes on a little. You, for lack of a better reference, coast and look for another job.
That's exactly what I'm doing. Even in my interview, when the manager who hired me was talking to me about the job, towards the end of it, I even said, I'm going to be straight with you. I don't plan on doing this job forever. I just need something for right now. But I will tell you that I'm going to give you more than enough time as a heads up if I intend to quit. And he was like, okay, that's fair. I can live with that.
You gave me a job, so I'm at least gonna work out 2 weeks at least or something.
Yeah, and he's been more than accommodating to me. I told him in the interview that I understand that the hours are, what my days off and the potential hours that I'm going to be working. Is it possible that I can have 2 specific weekends off, which are NAB and Dredged Fur? And he's like, yeah, that's not a problem. You're telling me about it up front. I'll make sure that you have it off. So my first day of work, I wrote the dates down, and I also wrote the dates down for Claw, and I handed it to him, and I'm like, here's the days that I needed that we had discussed on that Friday of whatever day it is. You could schedule me until 3, but I can't really work past that. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I was just going to have you have the entire day off. And I was like, oh, well, thanks. That would be appreciated, but I don't need it. I'm, more
You're being
than...
very accommodating to him as much as he's being accommodating to you.
Yeah. So it is what it is. It's a job. I'll put it that way. It's not a career.
That's true. That makes sense. But yay that your boss has the proper response. I think it's proper response that you give them notification far in advance and they say, "Oh, yeah, that's not a problem, blah blah blah," or "I appreciate you telling me," instead of waiting till, 2 weeks beforehand or something. I tell this to everybody, especially who's new in a job market or a position. I don't know why I keep telling individuals, they get all freaked out. They're like, "Well, I don't know," and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Mother Murgatroyd, you know about this 4 months in advance. Fucking let them know. Give them the heads up. Because if it freaks them out and they can't handle it, well, then no offense, they're shitty schedulers. That's all I got to say about that.
Right.
There was one of the contracts I had. I specifically scheduled my birthday and the day after off. Just happened to be the same days as the launch of World of Warcraft Legion. 8-9 months ahead. They're like, "Yeah, you can have it off." Whatever.
I look at it this way. I come from a family. We used to take an annual vacation every summer. We'd go to a convention. The job that I had, we had to put up the next year's entire year calendar on the wall for our department, probably around October to November. I always knew everything that I was planning to take off the next year for very certainty, and I would put it all on there. And some people would be like, "How do you know that in advance?" I'd be like, well, it's pretty easy. This is an event that I host every single year. This is an event I go to every single year. This is the thing that I'm planning on doing. This is when my friends are getting married. Like, I just know this kind of stuff, and I put it up there because to the early victor go the winnings. Like, oh, look at me. I already kind of know when the hell I'm doing my shit.
So-and-so already asked for that day off. Oh, wait a minute. That was me who was like, did it 3 months ago.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, there's a thing for seniority. So yes, obviously someone who has tenure over you and the amount of time that they've been there may have priority to get the day off. But if you wait, then, that's kind of on you. That's all I got to say about that. Anyways, Chester, what else?
So RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 3 comes out Thursday night. So we got 5 days?
Oh, are you really counting down? Girl.
Thursday? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
Yes, and here's why. I had asked if there were any, because we don't have VH1. I had asked on Facebook, does anybody know of any public viewings here in Columbus? And somebody said, "Oh yeah, check out Union Cafe." And I did, and Chi-Chi DeVane is going to be there for the viewing party.
Nice.
So I was like, I wonder if I could get a table. And I did.
Yay!
Sweet.
So I am now. When you announced it, I didn't realize until just now. I put two and together, and I was like, "Wait a minute, motherfuckers! There are 10 queens. 9 have been announced. 1 is a surprise, but there are 10 queens. That means there's only 10 bars across the entire country that have a queen for opening night, or like the beginning of the season. And Columbus got one of them.
Mm-hmm.
That says something. Like, I'm really kind of surprised, very much in a way. Like, if anything, I would have thought that the home bar for each of the queens would have, had them, but I don't know. So I'll be very curious to see how that turns out. I had thought about contacting you about going, but obviously, I kind of sat on that for a moment, and then other people were like, me, I want to go, and so anyways,
Well, you could have. I might be able to change the reservation again.
We'll talk.
That's not part of the show.
Yeah, we'll do that later.
That's for a different show.
Anyways,
literally.
And then anything else, Chester?
Oh, I was just gonna say. And lastly, I saw Fiery Biscuits do this on Tumblr the other day, and he just said something like nudes and numbers. Send me a nude with a number on there, and I'll respond publicly what I think. And normally when I do something like that, I don't get a whole lot of responses. I'll get like 1 or 2. But fuck, has my Tumblr blown up because of it. My inbox is just full of people sending me porn.
How did I miss this?
I don't know.
Have you been replying to them?
Publicthere.tumblr.com.
I mean, you're not going to see anybody's pictures that they sent me.
Yes.
You're just going to see my response.
I know that you're not putting pictures of wangs up there, but like the fact that you're
sent to me,
right? The fact that you're replying to them, I'm kind of like, oh, okay,
right. And I would say about half of them are people that I'm familiar with. You know, like we're mutual followers. And then another half are people that I've never interacted with before. And all of a sudden, here's this attractive guy showing me his dick. And I'm like, oh, hi, how are you? Oh, you're not too far away. So, yeah, it's been fun.
I see that number 21 you're hoping is somewhat local.
Yeah.
Wow.
He had a nice penis.
For those of you that have ever doubted, the way to Chester's mouth is your penis. So, just saying.
Cake.
That's nice.
Not really. I don't like cake. Pizza.
Did you just say cake?
Yes, he said or cake. That's not
You have options, apparently.
Wait, or cakes.
Ha ha. But
yeah, I'm not much of an ass man. It's all about the penis. Anyway. Moving on.
He's a dick man, not as much of an ass man. Okay?
Funny.
He prefers the sausage, not the bun.
Anyways.
I'm trying to think of a low carb joke in there somewhere.
High protein diet.
There we go. Gary, how are you?
I'm great. Chester's the epitome of an Atkins diet in a walking form.
Wow.
Hold on. Belly claps.
I can fill you up if that's what you need.
Because that's what everybody's looking for right now is all the protein that they can swallow. Anyways, so why not?
That's a pun.
For those of you, yes, it's a pun. It's W-I-N-E, it's
a dad joke.
Beverage you get when you take grapes and you let them do beautiful things with yeast. So I'm in Pittsburgh, for those of you that are watching video, and you're kind of like, oh, that background looks a little familiar, but yet different, because it's not my home. I did another road trip travel this weekend because my besties were going to have a wine party. And I kind of keep my distance on these things because, I really kind of need to be into whatever it is. Otherwise, I kind of don't attend. So for those of you that are familiar with Tupperware, Pampered Chef, Simply Delightful, and all of these various programs that they come to your home and we go over beautiful things and you get sold on stuff.
Princess House.
Apparently, they're doing it with wine. So they were going to host a wine party, and Tara had said, hey, are you able to attend? And I was like, yes. And then she said, could you help me prepare the foods for pairing? And I went, oh, okay. Well, then I got
with red wine, chicken and fish with white.
No, girl. These bitches be serious. We got documentation about very specific foods and ingredients that go with very specific wines that they will be bringing. And you are not to be mixing it up and cross-contaminating.
Oh, shit.
I'm being slightly dramatic, but I was like, bitch, really? Okay. Now, they do give you a couple of things to choose from for every single one, and that's fine. But lo and behold, the majority of individuals that were invited to come to the party have been falling ill because there's this thing called influenza. And it's sweeping across the country, apparently, or at least here in the city of Pittsburgh. So a bunch of people had to decline and cancel. So the decision was made yesterday, or no, today's Sunday, Friday when I got here, pretty much that there was only going to be the host and then the hostesses of the house and me and not much anybody else.
Shit.
So consequently, we postponed the party for another month.
Oh.
So instead of having a wine party, what better thing to do than to go to the movies and watch Star Wars: The Last Jedi?
Yay.
Yay. Still haven't seen it yet.
Nor I.
Anyway.
Yeah, there will be tears.
It's been out for a month now.
Damon's showing off his wine collection.
Wine cabinet, yeah.
Oh, is that what he's doing? I was kind of like, I was gonna say, girl, your camera's not centered. Like, I don't know what you're doing, but you're in game.
It's moving. But yes, there's my wine. There's a whole bunch of wine. That's what happens when you're a member of a wine of the month club. And
oh no.
Yep.
If I was part of a wine in the month club, there wouldn't be any wine bottles in there.
Well,
each month that wine bottle would be gone within a day or two.
Yeah.
So, I did see this thing not too long ago that is a monthly wine subscription box. And you get like one of those small bottles.
Yeah.
You get like 2 of them a month.
Yeah.
And I was interested in it at first, but it comes out to be like $12.50 a bottle, so $25 a month, and you only get like 1 glass. And I'm like, I am not paying $12.50 for one
Unless
glass
that wine
of wine.
is covered in gold and you can, the bottle fills up automatically like a couple of times. No, fuck that shit.
Water to wine.
Yeah.
I love it. David's like, no. See, that's not how this works. The bottle needs to magically refill itself. That's what I'm interested in that price point.
We get a bottle a month. It is a $20 membership. Granted, it's Cooper's Hawk, if you didn't know. Somewhat, not so local, but they're national, I believe, but not like everywhere. Anyway. So we do, and it's good. It's good shit. And you get benefits because they have a restaurant as well. So, yeah.
KJ and I did something similar with Chateau Ste. Michelle out in Washington, where we got 3 bottles every 2 months, and it was like $50. But I love almost every single wine that they do, so to me it was worth it.
Yeah.
And see, I do this thing where I put on this event and there's like a wine tour on a Saturday afternoon. And even though I haven't gone on the tour in a couple of years, I have a good friend that now leads the tour and he kind of knows what I want. Plus, oh, that's right. I live in a winemaking region, so I just kind of go to the winery and buy it. So this whole like shipping shit to your house thing is a weird thing because, oh, that's right. In the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, it's been illegal to ship alcohol. So we all learned to just hitch up to the mule and get our ass over to the vineyard and get the wine ourselves.
We'll have to.
I just go to the convenience store.
We'll have to go sometime if you're in town, Gary, to Cooper's Hawk. It's a little pricey, but it's a good, like, you're getting a really good meal. So
good.
Hey,
No,
I'm all
I've
for
paid
this.
for it.
I love that day where we all met up in Cincinnati and went to that
So the brewery?
Rheingeist. I love that. I'm all for it.
Ooh, speaking of, that reminds me, we need to remember around Pride time to try to go back to Rheingeist to get the Pride logo shit.
Sure.
There you go.
Yeah. But anyways, no, so I agree with you, like getting together and that kind of stuff. But that's the things I like to do. So I came down, the whole intention was to have a wine party. We did not have a wine party. We instead, luckily, we postponed it before we went shopping for all the shit that we needed for the party. Now, don't get me wrong, like, you know, buying the cheeses and the shrimp and the bacon and the all that kind of stuff. It would have been helpful, but instead we spent it on ourselves and we went to the movie theater. And by the way, I don't know what's happening. My city is apparently behind the times, but here in Pittsburgh, at one of the movie theaters, when you show up, you can order fucking chicken and waffles.
Shit.
Right. What? Now,
I order pizza usually and some beer.
To be fair, I was told it is not the best chicken and waffles, which, hello, it's a movie theater. Come on. But I was like, really? So, yes, really? I was.
Let me look at the menu at where I go to.
Yes, but you go to Alamo Draft House. Yeah. He goes to the Alamo Draft House, which is a really good chain, and it's like highly regarded and it deserves to be, but not everybody has one of those. So
we have fried pickles, loaded fries, some wings, chicken and ricotta
AMC
meatballs.
That's like 6 miles from here does movie dinners, and like huge, big ass, comfortable leather reclining seats, and you get this little table that swings out in front of you. And you get a little call button in case you run out.
Apparently, that's what we're going to try to get, but those were sold out. So we went the traditional peasant way and paid a regular fee and then got, the regular food, so to speak, and sat. Anyways, we got to see the movie. My lovely lady friends had not seen the movie yet, so they had magically, somehow, in a month's time, not been spoiled.
What?
I know. Like, they pretty much did not know about the major shit that happens in the movie. So
Interesting.
That was exciting because afterwards, all we did for the next 2 or 3 hours is talk about the movie and all the shit that happens in it, and the who, the what, the where, the when, and all that. So yeah, it was.
So you already watched it, Gary?
Yeah, it was yesterday. So instead of having the wine party, we were at the movie theater, which was comical because one of the guests did not get the notification that it was canceled and was calling while she was in the movie theater. So she answered her phone, which I thought was hysterical because I was like, wow, it must be an emergency because you never answer your phone in a movie theater. and so she was basically trying to say, yeah, I'm in a movie. We canceled the party. It was quite comical to me. So, but no, it was good. And then I had a little bit of a chuckle to myself because we get to the end of the movie and of course the credits are rolling and both of them are like, is there an extra scene? And I was like, no, there's no shawarma. And then they were like,
did they get confused?
Yeah, kind of, because I don't know. Apparently we have coined a term, which I thought was a thing. So I told him, I said, even though Disney owns Lucasfilm, it's not a Marvel film. So no, there's not extra stuff at the end. So yeah, but no, so we did the movie thing. And then today, because we were recording later today, we actually went shopping and did some grocery shopping and stuff. And so, and then came home and we made spaghetti with the meat sauce. And for those of you that might have seen on my Facebook, I put up pictures of mini apple pies that we had made.
And when should I be expecting mine?
Never.
Well, I said to ship me some.
Listen,
can't follow instructions.
No. Oh, no. There's no following instructions here. Listen, first of all, they're my besties. I'm in their house as a guest. They had apples and they had leftover pie crust refrigerated in the box because, remember, they were sick at the holidays. So they have food and shit that they need to get rid of. So we doubled a recipe for apple turnovers. And I was like, ooh, you have a muffin tin. Let's make little mini apple pies. So we did. And we made a big mess and all of that. And then we ate them afterwards with some Cool Whip and some reduced. Okay. So speaking of wine, I can tie it all back together. And then we'll get to why Cisco's here. So
we have a couple of more things before we get to that, unfortunately.
That's okay. So we were cutting the apples and they were like, oh, we need lemon juice. And they were out of lemon juice. They had one lemon, which was on its last seconds of life. So I squeezed the lemon, and then we also soaked the apples in ice wine. So for those of you that are not aware, an ice wine is grapes that are pulled after the first freeze. And what happens is that the sugars get concentrated. And so if a vineyard can actually, I don't want to say get away with it, but if they can make it happen, then they actually produce a wine that is incredibly sweet and is a lot thicker than a traditional wine. It also comes in a very skinny bottle and is twice to 3 times the price you normally pay for wine because of all the labor and everything else that goes into it.
And they have a very, very small window of when they can pick it because it's going to go from good to bad very fast.
Right. So that's one of the interesting things about it.
We lost your camera.
I know. It always does that when I try to read the chat. How funny. But yeah, so I was like, what if we soak the apples in ice wine so they actually absorb some of it? And then we can also use that as part of the reduction for the sauce, for the glaze that we're going to put in the quote unquote turnovers. So,
not that I want to derail your subject any longer, but there is a Japanese restaurant in Disney Springs at Walt Disney World that does a sake with apple bits in there, and it's fucking amazing.
Because apples are amazing. I love apples.
How about them apples?
So, yeah, so no, it turned out really, really well. So, anyways, we had like a dozen of these little pastry things, which is comical because we were using a recipe that requires puff pastry, and we had pie crust. So, sometimes you just do what you can with what you got. And then I made 2 big ass turnovers and like a little kind of tartlet thing because I had a lot of crust and we still had apples and shit. So, yeah, it was fun and exciting. So. Wine was still involved. It's been fun.
Nice. Drink.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
All right. And with that, let's go to this.
Now, whoever thought we'd be doing commercials?
I know I sure as heck didn't.
Being that we're a smaller scale podcast, we don't have advertisers knocking down our door to give us money, and that's okay.
Which is why we want to take a moment and tell you about 2 really great ways you can support Cubs Out Loud.
Over the past 9 years, COL has produced hundreds of audio episodes, and now we have matching video episodes for you to enjoy.
This year, we introduced the new COL logo and launched our new merch store over at Zazzle.com/CubsOutLoud.
Or you can also use the COL merchandise link on our podcast website to pull up the online store.
Here you can take a look through a range of products, including t-shirts, hats, poker chips, underwear, backpacks, and various other things with the COL logo on them.
And keep an eye out for new things to be added based on your interests and requests.
We typically can be found showing these great items off in the video stream of our shows.
Also, to help with our new format, we're doing YouTube video shows that help create the audio version. We have a GoFundMe campaign underway at gofundme.com/COLstream.
This campaign allows us to afford upgrading the PC that Jeff uses to produce our shows. Plus, a better computer means better quality streams.
And thanks in advance for not only listening to Cubs Out Loud, but helping support the podcasts too.
So something else happened this week. I got a package. The package contained 2 shirts. One of them was the one that I'm wearing right now, which is the first COL logo on it. So it's you can get this in the store. It's COL V1. If you're looking at categories, just look at COL first generation, I think it's called, and you can actually just see the 3 items that I set up with that. So there's not much. There's mug, t-shirt, sweatshirt that you can get with that. I also got, and Damon has similar one to this, the version 2 logo created by our very own Eric Pink. So I got a white one of those. That's the V2 logo. And of course, we got our standard V3 logo shirts. I got my sweatshirt here, which is dirty. I really need to get it washed. And of course, mugs. And the shirt that Jerry is wearing right now, you can actually get in the store as well.
Oh, you mean this shirt?
Which has a variation on the current logo. And on the back. On the back,
this
also...
Cubs Out Loud shirt, you mean?
Yeah.
That's why you're gagging. Lovely. He brings it every episode.
And on the back, it also has a little has our long logo. See. And it says our logo, our tagline, and also our website. On your knees, bitch. Anyways, so and as I said, there's mugs. There's different types of mugs too. And so we've got 3 different Cubs Out Loud logos that you can get stuff on. If there's an item that you would prefer one of the older logos on that we don't have listed on the store, just let us know. Just shoot us an email. Chat in our Telegram chat at tinyurl.com/ what was it? Telegram-COL.
Yes, sure.
And just let us know that you would want maybe this logo on a chiffon scarf. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there. Or even our poker chips that we got. So up to you. You have options. Yeah. Anyways. I moved my things away from my keyboard because we now need to go in this. Don't worry, Cisco. We're getting there. Just hang in there for just a little bit longer.
I'm having fun.
Good.
Hey, nothing's going on over in Facebook land, it looks like.
Wah, wah.
But, hey, Damon, what's going on over in the YouTubes?
We have a couple of new subscribers over on YouTube. We have Philip Bowl, I'm going to say, and then Ernie Aguirre. Oh, thank you. Perfect.
You're welcome.
We should have
Good.
Cisco available on speed dial for
Cisco, how do you pronounce this?
yeah, for names that we
Aguirre?
think might come from like the southern part of North America and maybe South America, perhaps.
Nice.
At least you
Maybe
could probably take a better
Spain.
stab at it than we can.
Well, good. Well, welcome to our YouTube channel. And if you're watching live, hi.
And also because of changes to how YouTube monetizes everything, none of our shows will be monetized. Hey, what do you know? But if we get a whole bunch more subscribers and people watch more of our stuff, then maybe we can monetize again. But that's another matter altogether. Anyways, what's been going on over in the Twitterverse, Chester?
We didn't get any new Twitter followers. However, we did get a comment from Kiyoshi the Kid. It says, at Cubs Out Loud, hashtag that awesome moment. When you hear your Twitter handle on the last podcast and it was pronounced right. It's the little things that make me happy. Great episode this week. Thumbs up. And he's referring to our COL448, our shutdowns episode.
Nice.
And then he followed that up with, side note, I listen to your podcast at work every week now. Totally safe for work, haha. I only had one speaker incident where it was also playing through my computer speakers, and I didn't notice.
Yeah, well, as long as it wasn't a Daddy Hadrian episode, you probably have less of a problem.
I don't know.
I'm not
pretty
saying you're not
sure-
having a problem. Less of a problem than if you had a Daddy Hadrian.
Well, that's true. Yeah. I'm glad to hear that you presumably still have your job after the speaker incident, because we would feel bad about that. It is not our intention. We do have an explicit podcast, hence we drop the F-bombs. Why did I say F-bomb? We say fuck. I mean, come on. You know, it's all out there. Chester, I think we have some followers over in the naughty land of Tumblr.
We do. I'm not even going to try and pronounce this. So I'm just going to spell it out. T1 Bear?
Tit?
Or Tidit?
I think it's
Sure.
T1 Bear. T1
Brox Cub, not to be confused with Box Cub.
There's your no.
Ty's new name, Cublivian, Jen Kuna, Barely New Gamer, Beto Bear, Cub and Bear Lover, Taravich, Cub Guy 91, AJ 7200, and Sub Pig 66.
Nice.
Not Subpig 65 or Subpig 67, Subpig 66.
Not to be confused with, what was it?
Sloppy Bottom.
Floppy Bottom
23.
23. For those of you that don't understand, you're just going to have to listen to past episodes to catch that callback.
Actually, you'll have to listen to the shutdowns episode.
There you go.
Which reminds me, we should probably tell Smashy about this for a shirt.
What, Sloppy Bottom 23?
Sloppy Bottom 23.
Not to be confused with Sloppy Bottom.
And I think we should also have a shirt that has a brown chicken and a brown cow. Just for the record.
I'm sure it's probably out there somewhere.
I'm sure it is.
It doesn't sound like a new idea. Anyways, let's get in after all of this time to finally discussing why we have Cisco on the show. Besides the fact that we love him. We think he's awesome. Gary.
Thank you. Hey, well, Cisco, welcome back to the show. It is your third time with us, by the way, because I've been sort of doing this new guest tracking thing. The last time you were with us, I believe, was episode 419, if I have my information correct, and it was June of last year. So we've already caught up that you now have those 3 lovely initials after your name, PhD, so congrats on that.
Thank you.
That makes you more officially COL Science Man, because we need somebody to understand some of the shit that keeps coming out and then people freak out.
You're our version of Bill Nye.
Yes.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
He's a science guy. Come on.
That's true.
I don't think he has a PhD, though.
I don't have my fan. Because... Wow.
Alton Brown never went to cooking school, and look where that got him.
That is not correct. He actually, I believe, graduated from CIA. From the Culinary Institute of America.
Before or after his show?
Before.
Really? I did not know that.
It's called Wikipedia. Look this shit up.
I thought that he was untrained.
He did not know, and I can't even say that he didn't work in restaurants, because he did. It's not triage. What the hell is that? Staged. He staged at a couple of places. Stage in the restaurant business is when you actually basically work as an intern for free to learn some of the trade. But anyways, Cisco's here, and this episode is called Gay. Blah, blah, blah. Take 2. This episode is called Gay Genetics because there were 2 studies that came out in the month of December. Actually, the articles are just a couple days apart, and they're focusing on the fact that studies have said that apparently we can prove that being gay comes from our DNA. Not because you swallow lots of it. But anyway. So I was immediately, when I saw the article, I was like, oh, but we were going to save that. That's a Cisco thing, because we need somebody to help us understand and explain this stuff. Is it shenanigans? Is there some reality to it? What's the deal? And then when I contacted you, Cisco, you were like, oh, great, I would love to be on to talk about this. Did you see this one? So we have 2 in particular. So the first one that we had, let me see, they're both from last month. So study found evidence of a genetic determinant of sexuality, and that's okay. This was from LGBTQnation.com, December 10th of last year. It's interesting. There's this thing where they kind of talk about the statistical, analysis piece, which is why Cisco's here to help us understand it, and about whether or not it's inheritable. What I like about it is they actually also talk about the fact that there are people who like to say that there are very specific reasons why we're gay. And what causes homosexuality. And my favorite thing is that they're kind of quoting about how there's this website, which I'm not going to name. You can read the article, but they basically say, that they go on to, tout that, this points towards homosexual abuse and poor father-son relations, blah, blah, blah. My favorite part is the author said, that evidence was a right-wing activist taking a camera to a bar and asking gay men if their parents abused them. Give them a Nobel Prize already. Which I thought was super fucking sassy and hysterical, because this person was kind of like, give me a goddamn break. That is not scientific. Walking into a bar and putting a camera in people's faces and asking them a question. Like, that's not how you do that. Right, Cisco? I mean,
that's not good science.
So what can you tell us about this particular study that was done, and how reliable or how much weight we should give it?
Mm-hmm. So, as usual, I would like to differentiate the actual article, like the scientific article, and the article that was made about the scientific article, right? So, as I have said before, there's discrepancies, and it depends on how much the author of LGBTQ Nation understands science. Now, I will be completely honest with you. This is genetic research, which I'm not very familiar with. And it seems that their methods are very different from what I'm used to. I'm able to understand the main things, but I'm not a geneticist by any means.
Okay.
Now,
good disclaimer.
What we have known for a very long time is that there's genetic components to sexual orientation. To begin with, so a lot of the studies that have been published that are strong are from twin studies. So you study couples of twins and see how much concordance or discordance they have in their sexual orientation, right? So in general, we have found that if you were to grab random pairs of twins, just by knowing that they're twins and one of them is gay, you would be able to predict that the other one is gay 70% of the time. That's relatively high, but it's not 100%, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there are other factors involved here. Now, the reason why twin studies are pretty strong is because you naturally control a lot of variables. One of them is upbringing. Both kids would have the same parents and the same conditions and they were born at the same time, so they even share that. And they also share all of their genetic material with each other. They are genetically the same. Mm-hmm. And even when they're genetically the same, only 70% of the times you would find two twins who are gay. So that has been going on that has been replicated many times. The findings are pretty much similar to that. 70% of the time you have two gay twins. Now we're talking here about only males. Unfortunately, the research on lesbians is not that big or good. Mm-hmm. So we're only going to be talking about male sexual orientation here. So we know that, but the authors of the scientific article, they wanted to do something beyond that, which is localize areas in the genome that could pinpoint toward sexual orientation, that are related to sexual orientation. It doesn't mean that the genes cause sexual orientation, just means that they're related to it. Okay? So we're not talking about causality here, and the article from LGBTQ Nation kind of took that turn. So that's the first thing that I want to make clear in terms of differences between both of these.
Right, and that's, not to interrupt, Cisco, but that's one of the things that I've liked about having you on is you basically kind of, I don't know, clear the air a little bit and say what is produced about a study is not necessarily, or I'll even go on a limb and say hardly ever, what these publication article things that we read actually say. It's someone's interpretation, or they take one thing and then they kind of go off on that particular aspect, and they're not really probably explaining the science, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's not their job, right? It's not what they were trained for. They were trained to grab a piece of information and then trying to explain it, and sometimes some authors are better than others at doing that. In this case, I think the author of LGBTQ Nation missed the mark in putting this as a determinant. Usually when you talk about determinants, you're talking about cause. One thing causes the other. We're talking about statistics here. We're talking about what puts you at higher chances of evidencing a trait. In this case, being gay. So yeah, that's the first thing that I would like to point out in terms of the differences here. Now, the way that I understand how the research was done, they took from different databases. They took the data from roughly 1,000 men who identified as gay on the Kinsley scale, and roughly about 1,200 heterosexual males. In both groups, it was mainly European, so that limits the generalizability a little bit. But it's a big sample. It sounds that for geneticists, this is not that big. Not sure why, but my guess here is that since you're dealing with a lot of genetic data. You're trying to find something very small in something very big, right? So I think that's why the even though the sample is big, is not enough for us to make causal inferences, for us to say that one thing causes the other. So the way that this kind of research is done, again, this is my understanding. I'm not a geneticist, but I hope that this helps a little. It's, for example, imagine if someone gives you an instruction. Do you remember those instruction books for cars? Mm-hmm. So you go to AutoZone and then you get the manuals for different cars. So imagine that someone gives you 1,000 manuals of just regular cars and then 1,000 manuals of an SUV. And then you have to see what are the differences between both types of manuals. Now, every manual may be from a different car. It may be from the same car. You don't know. That's your job to do, right? Mm-hmm. So this is basically doing that. This research is basically doing that, looking at the blueprints of people who have identified as straight and people who have identified as gay, and trying to see if there's any differences in the structure of the car or the gene in this case. Mm-hmm. So the only thing that you can say from that is, okay, this is the general differences that I can see. And that may lead into us knowing a little more precisely in what parts of the genome could we find potential causes of sexual orientation. Are we clear on how the research is working, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So what they found is that there's two major areas in the genome. One of them has been related. Go ahead, Damon.
No, I think he's sneezing or coughing.
One of them has been related to the functioning of the thyroid and metabolism. The other one is regarding the X chromosome inactivation. And there's a third one, but the third one, it didn't seem that it was significant enough for them to even mention it. So that's all we know. That's all we know. We know that SUVs are a little bigger, and I don't even know what I'm talking about there, but we know that there's those differences, right? And we can notice them on average from these two groups. But that doesn't tell us exactly what those differences are. We know where the differences are, but we don't know what that means yet. Okay, mm-hmm. This is relatively preliminary. It was a very good effort from what I can understand here, and the authors of the research article are saying that, I mean, this is what we know. We cannot extend this to anything else except for these are the areas that we can focus our attention to if we want to investigate a little bit more of what genes could be related to sexual orientation in men with European descent.
So kind of it narrowed down where to look so that we can do some additional tests to try to even, dig deeper and find out if what that little bit of information might be that would cause it. But we don't know yet. It just kind of eliminated other things to get it.
Yeah, it's as good as this was. It's still pretty limited. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't seem that there's a lot of research that has included as many people in a study. So this is the strongest evidence we have at this point, which doesn't mean that it's the definitive or ultimate evidence that we have. There needs to be many, many other studies that can replicate this or investigate it in a slightly different way to see if it still works the same way. Usually for this kind of research, you're not mapping the whole genome. So you're not looking at the whole car instruction. You're looking at things that you think could be related to this difference. Right. So there's a lot of areas in the DNA that had not been studied here in this research. So we may find that there's others that may be more related to that, or we may find that these are the ones. At this point, we don't know.
Yeah, this article I found interesting because basically everything gets said in the first paragraph, and then you don't really need to read the rest of it. And I'm not trying to be shitty against LGBTQ nation, but they basically say, hey, there's a new study from the University of Chicago. They found 2 genes that differ between gay men and straight men.
That's it.
Like, right. I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to. And you read all the rest of it, it's kind of like, oh, okay. Like now we're just going to go off on some other shit. Like,
well, and I think the comments toward the end, they're valid. I think they're relevant. Mm-hmm. One that I wanted to point out is that there's the fear, right, that if scientists find what causes homosexuality, that scientists are going to start controlling that and then changing it, right? Mm-hmm. So I wanted to address that one because this is my belief. Probably there's a lot of people out there who may be like, oh, now they're going to find that people are going to start shutting those genes down and we're not going to have any more gay people and there's going to be a cure, right? That's not how science works. Right now, there's the authors of this paper are taking homosexuality as a trait, not as a disease, right? So they're just looking at what traits.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
I'm giggling because I went to contact my insurance provider, and I was looking for an LGBT specific counselor.
Yeah.
And the person on the other end of the phone kept on calling it what did she say?
Was it disorder or something like that?
Yes, I think it was disorder.
Yeah, I think you mentioned this.
And I kept correcting her.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, please stop saying it's a disorder. And she's like, well, sir, I'm only reading whatever things she was looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, I understand you're reading something and you don't intend to make it sound this way. However, your language makes it sound like there's something wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
That's unfortunate. That should not happen in this day and age, but it's 2018 and there's a lot of crazy things going on, right? But in general, there's no diagnosis anymore for homosexuality. Many research studies have tried to link sickness with homosexuality. Many have debunked that already. As it's mentioned here, there's a few people that still want to believe that and are going to prove it by putting cameras in front of people and asking them. Yeah. And that's unfortunate. But in general, scientists should know the research, and we know that there's no diagnosis. There's nothing wrong with it, right? And again, this article is being very clear about them doing this to find genes that are related to a trait, not a disease. Second thing, so one of the comments says that scientists are going to start messing with the genes, right? From an ethical standpoint, that would be very difficult. Since it's not a disease, there's nothing that we need to change as scientists. And if anything, parents may be the ones requesting genetic changes, which again, we're kind of far away from that. But if it ever happens, it's not going to be scientists. It's going to be parents who are going to be requesting this, right? Mm-hmm. So the issue here is not scientists studying this. I think the issue here is we need to keep educating as many people as possible about what sexual orientation is, and that the same genes or other genes may be related to heterosexual orientation. And it should be treated the same way, right? You would not be asking a doctor or a scientist to be changing genes to make someone straight or gay. Either way, right?
Or you prefer that they have blue eyes versus green eyes.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the issue, is that people think genetics is so simple. It's kind of like, oh, you can pick eye color or hair color or yes, but that's not like sexuality is far different as far as, how it works. In terms of there's a lot of, I think, debate, because nothing's been proven about the whole nature, nurture, environment, and genetic and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I thought this article was just interesting because basically it was like, it cracked me up because it kind of felt like, hey, somebody else did another study about genetics, and then when you pay attention, it's like, so they found something, but it's nothing. Kind of.
it's a piece of the puzzle. It's not the whole picture. It's just one piece of the puzzle. So I was relatively excited to read the actual article. Again, I can understand a minimal part of it, but it's still interesting that we're looking at this not in the sense of let's look for a solution to it, but more to answer the question: what makes or what determines sexual orientation?
It's a quest for knowledge.
It's a good part of the puzzle.
Yeah. Well, when I was growing up, and people would always ask me, well, why do you think you were gay? Or why do you think you are gay? I always related it back to my personal experiences and what shaped me into being who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I can't pinpoint an exact moment, but I think that a sexual moment in my life when I was younger is what made me who I am today. Like, if that didn't happen, I don't think I would be gay. And then when I start thinking about it deeper, I've come up with my own hypothesis about this. And I have a feeling that when that happened, certain alleles on my chromosomes switched on and off, and therefore led me down a path of being gay.
That's a valid hypothesis. So what you're talking about here is epigenetics. So in terms of DNA, I told you it's like a blueprint, right? In terms of epigenetics, we know that even though we have that blueprint, certain things may be expressed in a way if you're in an environment that promotes that gene to be expressed in that way. But if you change to another setting, that gene may be expressed in a different way. So I think what you're talking about here is more of an epigenetic hypothesis of what could influence sexual orientation. We don't know the answer to that yet because we are barely scratching the surface of the blueprint instead of how is this going to be expressed if this, as opposed to this other thing. And that could be true for a certain percentage of the population. We may find that there's genes that are strongly related, that it doesn't matter what environment you're in, you may still end up being gay. So yeah, I think Chester, you have a valid hypothesis that could be tested in the future. If we were to switch this on, how would that affect sexual orientation? So yeah, those are the kinds of questions that get me pretty excited about research. Trying to think of other possibilities, not only what determines what, but also the relationship of the environment and the genes.
Right.
We have a comment in our live chat from Aerodragneal Productions. I think there was an arrival that stated, I don't know what he means by an arrival.
I think he meant article.
Yeah. I think there was an article that stated the chance of male being gay increases depending on how many boys that were born prior. I've heard that before.
Segue.
Yeah, that's the next article, actually.
I've heard that before, and then I think about my own family, and I am the fourth boy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm only the second, by the way. But no, it's seriously. That's the next article.
That's exactly the next.
We were just about to talk about it.
It's almost like somebody had a crystal ball and was like going to predict where we were going to go with the conversation. But no, I mean, it's funny that you're talking about that, Chester, about like, in our own lives. I'm the anomaly. I'm an only child. I am the only boy. There are no other boys or girls, so this doesn't quite match up the same way when it comes to that.
Which boy are you?
Okay, so this is where it gets complicated. So if you go by just my mother, technically I am the second boy. Mm-hmm. I had a younger sister. But if you go by both parents, so my mom and my dad, I am the third boy. Because I have an older brother. I have two older half brothers.
Right.
One from each parent. And then I believe I have another older brother, or I would have had an older brother, but there was a miscarriage. So
okay.
So yeah. So just there's I know of the potential. I believe I would be the second or the third, depending on who you're adding or counting. If you count just the mother, then it's second and possibly third.
Okay.
So yeah. So just I'm yeah. So I know of that. On the flip of that, I'll use Jim as an example. Jim is the oldest of three boys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He was the first one.
He was the first one, and he's gay.
So of these,
how about you, Jeff?
I'm the second. I have an older brother.
Okay.
I have an older sister, but that doesn't count in this case. So.
Right. If you're only counting the males, which is kind of what this article that we're going to get to here in a second is related to.
Yeah. Togai says, "Hooray for only children."
There's pluses and minuses. It's not all peaches and cream. But yeah, so this is the article that you had said something about, Cisco. Like, hey, did you hear about this one? The article is from iflscience.com. IFL stands for I fucking love, or I freaking love, if you prefer that version. And the title of the article is "The More Older Brothers You Have, the More Likely You Are to Be Gay. And Now We Might Finally Know Why." Yeah. Which I found very interesting. Research was published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. They were looking for a biological factor in mothers that could accumulate over multiple male pregnancies and influence their offspring's sexual orientation. So this is kind of genetic, but not. Like, I think it's interesting, Cisco, and I'm hoping you can help us understand what we're looking at here.
Let's see. Genetics is about, again, those blueprints, right? So it's the genetic material that you carry with you. Biology could be genetics, but when we say biology, we talk about other things that happen. For example, in this case, in utero, you're still not in an outside environment, and you're not exposed to society. You're not exposed to a lot of those things yet. So that's why we make the distinction between biology and genetics. Genetics is just exactly the blueprint that you're coming with. Biology is anything that happens during gestation, or even like once you're born, anything that happens inside your body biologically. So yeah, genetics is only about the blueprint. Biologically is about, in this case, is about mom's hormones and the womb. For this, and this hypothesis has been going on for a very long time and has been replicated, and it seems that it's a strong one. This is the biological factor that could, again, not determine but be related to sexual orientation. It has to do with hormones. So mom's hormones during pregnancy. The older mom gets, the least um, hormones she has that could influence sexual orientation. Let's see. What else do I want to say about that? So, for example, the relationship again, it's not going to be 100% of the time.
Yeah.
But we have seen that statistically, it happens more often than we would expect. It happens more often that the more pregnancies your mom has had, the more likely the last child or children are prone to being gay.
And this is what we're talking about is the fact that hormones can have a play in this, because you could say statistically that the more pregnancy a woman has, the more likely it is X percentage child is going to be gay. Like if you have a woman who's had 15 children in her lifetime, over the course of those 15 pregnancies, the likelihood of how many are going to be gay or lesbian, whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure you could just simply do a math thing and say, oh, well, it's most likely this is going to happen, which is kind of weird because it's kind of like talking about a trait. I mean, to me, it's the same thing as saying who's going to have the recessive gene that, develops a redhead or, and I think that's where it's a little kind of like, it's interesting because what they're talking about is biology, but there's a genetic aspect in that they're talking about chromosomes and what happens like hormonally within utero. And I think that's where it's interesting because like to me it is genetic-ish.
Yeah,
but
so
not exactly.
Let me see if I can explain this a little better. So what I was saying about switching genes on and off, remember that? So there's biology could influence that, but you have your genetic material, right? That doesn't change. It may be the way that it expresses itself, it may change, but your blueprint is your blueprint. That's
right.
That's what you're born with. Hormones, which is a biological component, it may be one of those switches. But if you have people who don't have that genetic predisposition, even though they are the 15th child, they don't have those chances. Right. And so if you think about it this way, it's an interaction. At that point, it's an interaction of your genetic material with whatever happens biologically in the womb to you and your mother. But then again, if your blueprint has no room for a third wheel, getting into again the comparison with the car manuals, then it doesn't matter how much or how good it works, it's never going to develop that, right? But if you have the genetic predisposition, if you have these genetic sites that are related to sexual orientation, and you have certain overflow or underflow of hormones in the womb, then that increases your likelihood, or may decrease your likelihood of being gay. Yeah. We don't know the whole picture. These are just two elements. There could also be environmental things, the way you were raised, any toxins, or like we don't know that part. We still don't know. It's. I mean, we're barely scratching the surface of something that we could see, just like genetics. But there's other components too. Right. So that's why it happens. For some people, they're the 15th child and they're not gay, right? But that may be because they don't have the genetic component that may put them at higher chances of being gay. Or it may be that they have not found that relationship or that social component that switches that gene on or off.
So, I mean, I think of it in terms of this, like, as you were describing that, I was like, this kind of reminds me of this, please forgive the analogy, electrical socket plugs. So like some of them are 2 prongs and some are 3 prongs. And amongst the 2 prongs, there's even differences. Like there's the grounded, like, left side, which is a little wider, a little fatter than the right side. But if you go back, like they're still produced some that are identical, and there is no grounding aspect to it. So in a way, what I feel like we're saying is like, yes, you may have the capability for these things to plug together, or you may not have the things to plug together. And that's part of like where that blueprint piece I think you're talking about comes from, is like structurally, what is the stuff that's here? And then there's other aspects of whether or not these things ever come together.
Yeah.
So, and that's the part that I feel gets a little foggy. Well, not a little foggy. I think it just gets foggy for everybody because we like simplicity. So we want to be able to just say definitively, like, this is the thing that will make this happen. And this particular study, from what I'm understanding, the article is basically saying that there's a hormone, it can affect what is triggered or turned on, however you want to phrase it, and that it has to do with, I think they said there's a section of the brain that is known to like handle attraction, and that could be possibly part of the mix in terms of that. So I'm like, oh, that's very interesting. Like, there's, to me, it's maybe more like, it's going to be a really bad analogy, cookie batter. And everybody's got the same base components. So you've got sugar, butter, flour. Well, sorry, a fat, flour, a sweetener.
Are you calling me fat?
Yes, and I like it. So get over it. So, let me clarify that for a moment because that sounded shitty. I wasn't saying fat. I'm saying that I like the fact that you are. Anyways, have a cookie. Oh wait, you're not sticky yet.
Oh, now you're trying to get me fatter than I am.
Or not. It's your body. Do what you want with it. But no. So the thing for me is like all the stuff that you put into the batter, into the mix, is what results in what you get out of it. And I think that's what I think sexuality truly is. And that's the thing that I think people struggle with, because we have individuals that have been friends of ours and family members and folks on the podcast that they're kind of, when we talk about a spectrum, like they're all over the place. Some people we label them as bisexual because to them it doesn't matter what the person's physical sex gender is. It is acceptable either way, and for other people that is not the case. And so that's why I'm like, I think that it's kind of a mix, and what kind of comes out of it is
it's like bread, because if you put in yeast, the dough will rise, and if you don't put in yeast, it will be unleavened bread and be flat.
I think your analogies are close to reality, actually.
I think if we're food focused, perhaps we're all hungry or
we're all fat.
We're
God, I will say this much. Good God.
There's takeaway. I'm gay because I'm fat. That's what this episode is.
So it's the order thing is very interesting to me. That's one of the things I remember. So, gosh, when I was in high school, so almost 20 years ago. Oh yeah, actually 20 years ago. Anyway, so
I just got invited to my 20-year high school reunion. It's probably been 20 years.
Anyway, so in high school, one of the things we had a debate on homosexuality, because I was still in the closet in a sense, but I wanted to know more about it, and the goal for me was to find things to kind of honestly say that it's it's more than just you choosing or whatever. I wanted to kind of, so I remember articles, I remember genetics being mentioned, I remember the fraternal order being a part of it as well. And the other thing I remember is the the twin studies as well. I remember a lot of that, and this was like the 90s. So it was very interesting to me that there's still, even now, 20 years later, we're still kind of working on these things, but I think we're getting a lot closer. And I believe with more time and more studies and more education and more research, I would hope that something can come up of it. Because one of the things I liked about the first article, I forget what it said, was, there are people that were concerned about this being, finding out this quote unquote gay gene or whatever, and that it would be something that they would want to get rid of. And what did it say? It said there's a reason many LGBT people want a genetic explanation to be found. The most intuitive outcome is that straight people will stop trying to fix us. And that's kind of a big thing for me. And it's always been something that's been on my mind, for years, is that the thing I want is there to be some conclusive scientific evidence that you can't, knock down or whatever, and it be something so that people will stop thinking that this is, that you're blaspheming God or all this other stuff. It is very much something that you can actually pin down, so that people, like I said, will stop potentially using religion, honestly, as a crutch to persecute. That would be my.
I think if we had a genetic factor, Damon, what we get to eliminate is the choice issue. If we were to say definitively sexuality comes from your genetics, then you get to basically wipe away this whole you choose to be gay, you choose to be a lesbian, you choose to be and I think that would give people, I don't want to say comfort, but it would kind of give them an affirmation of this, there is a definitive reason why this is what it is. But
I don't think we're going to get that very, very, very soon, but I think these studies are good starting points, I think.
I do think that science could provide okay, you wanted a reason, this is a reason. Unfortunately, science is competing against a thing that has been around for 5,000 years or something. And so beliefs are stronger because of that. They have been passed for a very long time from generation to generation. So I think even if we have that, I don't think we're going to get a definitive answer. But if we were to get to that point where we have a definitive answer, where we say adding eggs doesn't relate to it, but not adding eggs is related to it, then I still think there's going to be a lot of people fighting you over that, right? So it's nice that we have the answers, but that doesn't mean that that's where discrimination or all of those things are going to end. It provides a better answer, that's for sure. Before, it was believed that people who were left-handed were evil. Now we know that that has nothing to do with it. But there were I know, this is just
left-handed.
But we know. But now we know that that's not true, and people are better able to understand that it's not about being evil. It's just that your brain works a little different, and you work better with your left hand than your right hand.
Some people are ambidextrous.
Some people are ambidextrous. So
sometimes it feels better with your left hand.
For both?
Sometimes, yeah.
Or you're non-dominant, or yes, if you're gifted, perhaps both.
I don't think that even having a definitive genetic answer or biological answer is going to shut everyone who has those beliefs down. But I do believe that gets us closer to more people being like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I may be a little more open to listening to that.
Yeah.
So
throughout the years, not right away.
So you could say, if anything, with both of these studies, it's progress toward finding an answer. We just haven't found it in any case.
It's not that we're going to find an answer. It's more that we are going to find how difficult probably it is to answer that question.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Which
it
is
moved towards it. It may still be way down the line. May not know until the next century or further. So, I think it's time that we move on. But I think the best question to ask right before we move into the next thing is what Doe Guy asked. What part of the blueprint dictates whether you'll be a wall outlet or a three-pronged plug? I think the universe will never know. All right, so now let's talk about Dick. You don't quite see it, but you see the action in mine. We got Chubby Daddy Bear Daddy on Tumblr with yet another video, which I'm calling Going to Town.
Basically.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think some sound was through there. But
nope. No. Not at all. Anyway. Yes. Hot.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah.
Definitely enjoying both. I mean, what's not to like?
Wow.
There have been a couple of times where I've just like gone to their Tumblr page and just scrolled through there for happy fun times.
Well,
needless to say, they
do post a lot of stuff.
I think that's enough said online.
Wow.
Huh? What?
Speechless.
I'm just amazed at the level of skill, because he's like, "Look, Ma, no hands."
I would agree with Chester. That's the part where I'm kind of mesmerized, because I'm like, somebody has, even though he's got a belly on him, he's got some good core muscles like around his back and his abdomen, because he's basically perpendicular upright with his body as the top. And I agree. Yeah, he's not really doing the whole like hip hand holding, butt grabbing, like, around the neck, shoulder, any of that. He's just
going to town.
Yeah, and I'm just like, alrighty then. Like,
very curious.
Perhaps he has experience riding the bucking, the bull at rodeos. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, oh, that's awesome. Woohoo.
Yeah, so that's mine.
So mine is titled it So Many Fetishes. And basically because you've got a jeaned up daddy bear type with a shaved head, or no, not shaved, but at least balding head, with some boots and a jock strap and some jeans, and you see a bit of the ass, and he's, so you got all these things, and it's like, basically, like Gary will say, check, 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 check. Hitting all of those buttons for me. It's it's kind of a dommy pose. There's all kinds of stuff in this one that's like.
Mm-hmm.
I almost bought a pair of cat work boots the other day. Totally off topic, but sort of not really.
No, it's related because these boots are so new, like not brand new, but new enough that the tread hasn't really been worn. So if you were getting stomped, you would probably have an impression of the tread and the cat logo on the bottom of these.
Yeah.
Someone pressing down on your face or on your back or
chest.
On your
on your ass.
Yeah, I have, like I said, so many buttons are being hit in this one picture.
Yeah.
I wonder what it'd be like to be, like stomped on your chest.
That may be a let's talk about kink topic to discuss.
Yeah.
Because Anyway, sorry. I've now I got my mind thinking, and do I know someone that can talk about that? Now I've got to think about that. I might know someone, but I don't know if they would be willing to be on the show. Anyway,
I know somebody who's into punching, which I assume wouldn't be too far from kicking or stomping.
All right, but yeah, that one's mine. That one's my sexy.
Yeah. All right. So while you're thinking on that, Damon, Chester, what is yours?
Mine is of Woofer.
Yay!
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really good picture of him. Somebody knows what they're doing with their camera and framing and composition.
It is bear flavored.
Well, that's just it. Is Bear Flavored a photographer, or is he just somebody who's reblogging photos? Because
I think he's a photographer because he's got his watermark on it.
Yeah, anybody could slap a watermark on there. But what I mean is did he actually take it? Because
bearflavor.co.uk. Sorry.
I'm pretty sure he's a photographer. Wow. Because I've seen a lot of bear flavored stuff, and I'm pretty sure this is an original.
I'm gonna say Chester based on looking at his Tumblr, presuming it's a he. This is a photographer who does fucking amazing stuff. Wow.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. I have a feeling that this is somebody else's photograph, and Bear Flavor just is the type of person that curates. But the difference why I'm pointing it out is it's not somebody who is stealing somebody's photos and reposting them on their own. Yes, he's doing that, but he's curating it by saying, "Hey, this is so and so, and this is the photographer who took it." And then,
maybe it's a collaboration, or I believe it might not be like the come on people, reblog not repost sort of way. More of
not that I follow Woofer's life, to a T, but I'm pretty sure he hasn't been to England lately. That's kind of what I'm getting.
Doesn't mean that photographer didn't come from England.
Anywho,
he has a picture, a couple pictures of JMO from that he posted last July. So yeah, I mean,
if it's not the photographer himself, it's somebody who's associated with the photographer or photographers. Magazine-ish sort of thing. I don't know.
Again, I think it is somebody. I think Bear Flavored is somebody who curates. But anyway,
I believe it's legit in any case. So.
It's
I don't know.
Very good photo of Mr. Woofer.
Yes, it is.
So, yeah, I will get what I've gleaned from website and Facebook page and what have you, and it looks as though Chester may be accurate. There's a social thing that says use hashtag bear flavor when uploading your pictures to Instagram, and they will be featured here on our website. And then you go to their about page, and it says Bear Flavored was founded in 2006. The first creative outlet was the 2007 book that linked the bear subculture to art and design. Now Bear Flavored is a platform for creativity in bear and post-bear culture. We aim to present works that celebrate the hirsute male ideal, physically or metaphorically. So it seems as though what Chester is saying is that they either collaborate with artists or they, like he was using, curate, where they get people to provide them with information and they present it out.
Again, legit.
Well, I think there's a
He's not
difference
stealing
between.
anything.
Well, I think there's a difference between saying that Bear Flavor took the photography and they're actually just the one that's posting it. What I find interesting is that the Woofer stuff appears to all be from July of 2014, and it was kind of spread out over the course of a couple of years. Because there's some Throwback Thursday stuff in the year 2016 and 2015. They're kind of referencing to New York City, but regardless, you know, they whoever the person is that's curating these things, they have a very specific eye. Like, to me, I can see consistently from picture to picture some stuff that they're doing. But yeah,
it's the type of photography that I generally like to do. It's not just here's a portrait. There's something more to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and actually, Woofer is a preferred model. Now that I'm paying attention, he keeps reappearing. I'll copy this over to the chat for us on Skype real quick, so you guys can see. If you scroll through the archive, it like gives you like the months and the different stuff, and then you'll be able to see kind of thumbnails of what they've got going on. But yeah, that's very interesting, because then every once in a while you see like there's sort of a pop-up ad for like some shirts, with their little
I know that picture
sting and stuff on it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I don't know, like I definitely think if it's not a single photographer, then there's maybe just a handful at most, I would think, that keep putting some of this stuff out there.
Come back, Gary.
Oh, because I did the chat thing. You know, Skype, you really kind of annoy the shit out of me when you do this. Get your shit fixed.
Speaking of which, Gary, what about you?
All right, so I call mine pipe puppers. So some of you might know who this person is when you see the picture.
Yay!
Oh, that's Elliot.
Yeah, so it's Griffin. And he decided to take a selfie with a pipe that he's smoking while he's driving, apparently. So, yeah, I was like, hey, check that action out. So I want to give him a shout out and a love, because he's a sweetie pie, and I know him so. And I love seeing men smoke pipe. Just gonna own it. That's all there is to say. So, yeah, that's my pick. Oops.
One second.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So I think moving into links.
Mm-hmm. So back to my nostalgia. In the early days of Cubs Out Loud, Tim, as well as the creator of this logo on my shirt, the first generation Cubs Out Loud logo, Josh Lloyd, we got onto Scam School with Brian Brushwood. And I linked the episode that we were on where we participated. It's the Learn the Kung Fu Match Trap Scam. Basically, it's a way to how do I want to say this? It's a way to put a dick in his place.
Wow.
Wow.
Like if you're at the bar, and someone's being a dick, you can kind of play with them and do this little scam. And needless to say, there's fire that's involved.
Okay.
So you got to watch it to see it. I make a joke because he's like asking for a volunteer to be the dick, and I go, I can dick.
Yes, you can.
Anyways, so I didn't think he was kind of in on the joke, but in any case, I was the one who participated. I really wanted to do it just because I was the one whose idea it was to go do this. It's at the Nomar Bar in Austin, Texas, is where it took place. Almost 10 years ago, because it was 2009.
Wow.
So check it out, and
Well, isn't
check
that
out
something?
Scam School just in general. It's a pretty neat show which teaches puzzles and magic tricks. It's kind of cool.
Sweet.
Check it out. Chester, what do you got?
Mine is a link to my friend Scott's Tumblr. He goes by Corwin Cub.
Look at that. I'm already friends with him. I'm already following him.
Yeah, he's a cutie patootie. The moment I saw his profile pic, I was like, "Oh, him! Hey!"
Yeah. He lives out in San Francisco. He doesn't blog a whole lot, but every once in a while he might post a picture here and there. But yeah, he's an incredibly attractive man, and yeah, that's what I wanted to link to this week.
30-something cubby guy living in San Francisco. Neat. And yes, he is very handsome. Ooh, oh, shit. Sorry.
Yes.
The picture of him in the blue shirt I almost scrolled past it. It's very, yeah. He's, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good.
He's good. Oh, and there's a shirtless one. There we go. Nice.
Luscious beard. Nice and beefy.
Oh, cute. All right. That's it. Right?
Anyways. Where were we? Oh, hey, guess what, folks? That's the end. Plenty of ways to contact us. Pop over to our website, cubsoutloud.com. You can leave a comment on the blog. Shoot us an email, cubsoutloud@gmail.com, or leave us a sexy voicemail, 361-COL-TALK. That's 361-265-8255. Join in the Telegram group where we chat about a whole bunch of different things. Again, it goes from raunchy to geeky in 2.5 seconds. So be prepared.
Be prepared.
You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Google+, and YouTube, of course, where you can see our lovely faces, as well as our guest Cisco here. At Comes Out Loud in the appropriate place of the URL. Join us in the Bear Underground, the brand spanking new website, and hopefully eventually here we'll be getting an app too in the future. Not quite there yet. Rate us on iTunes, subscribe to us through Google Play Podcasts, and give us a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio. You can find me anywhere on the internet. It says Box Tech, Box Puppy, Box Cub, Box something or other. By the way, if you go to my Twitter account, which is at Box Tech, it will say Wind. That's really related more to my gaming name, so I suppose I'm Wind something as well as Box something.
I am TheaterCub79 on most bear-related websites, or you can find me as pup_Umbra on Twitter.
You can find me on Tumblr or Twitter under the name The Pup Up There, your local hardware store trying to find the right socket to plug this plug into, or various bear dating sites across the net under the name Pup Shutter or Cupcake76.
You can find me pretty much anywhere on the web as GareBear73. If you're super lucky and you get to know me and we're friends, I might actually come bake you a pie that's very tasty.
And Cisco, where can people find you?
So you cannot easily find me online, but if you have any questions about this article, or if you have any requests of questions you may have, you can email me at cisco_xxi@hotmail.com.
And with that, say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Have a good one, y'all.
Adios.
forgot to mention Zezel.com/cubsoutloud.
I think we mentioned it in our don't we mention it in the commercial, or did we just mention the gear? Yeah.
But I mean, we mentioned at the end of the show too.
You
know, that sort of.
Got to get that plug in there.
Well,
plug it in. Plug it
Call
in.
back. Well, it's just because like I want more people to get like the older logo shirts because I don't know about you, but this version 1 logo shirt turned out better than my original version 1 logo shirt. So
okay, so I'm gonna warn you all right now. I'm gonna put a link into something that was in Corwin's Tumblr, and you can never unsee what you're about to see.
Oh God!
What the hell?
No!
Everybody listening to the after show will want to know what the hell we just saw. Sorry, you're not gonna find out.
Why can't I see it?
I don't know. Why can't you see it?
You can't?
Did you click the link in the Skype chat?
I don't have one. Oh, because I gotta scroll down.
It's late.
I mean,
late.
Who doesn't have a slight fetish for the Colonel?
Me?
Me. This guy. Right here.
I mean, think of how easily his fingers could slide into you.
Oh my God! Shut up!
All that chicken grease.
You made it worse.
Shut up.
You made it worse.
Right now.
I'm gonna stop streaming.